Yeah, you get a little notification, don't you, on Teams that you're being recorded, which
There
I
you
like.
go. It's recording. So hello, welcome.
Hi, thanks so much for having us.
Oh, lovely, Louise and Naomi from Lucky Night Studio. So Lucky Night Studio design colourful web templates for female founders and small business owners. And Louise and Naomi, what I would like to do is read out what it says on your website. So you are on a mission to make characterful web design to women at every stage of business, regardless of budget. But my first question is, why Lucky Night Studio? Who would like to answer that?
I'll do that one.
Yeah.
Because this was after a long evening of drinking wine and brainstorming at Louise's kitchen table. And we wanted something that felt personal. So L and N are our initials. And then we wanted something that would be really kind of cheeky, and unusual for a web design business. I think that we really like that kind of cheeky girl vibe, and we felt like that just really encompassed that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I love it. I love it because the fact I know that there is a bit of a wine theme, you know, to what you do in the best possible way, which I love. Not to say, you know, you don't have to honour the non-drinkers out there, but I just love that. It's fun, it's exciting, and we're going to get into the detail of that. So, so first of all, can you tell the listeners a little bit about how you guys came to be in business together and a bit about the journey that you've been on with Lucky Night Studio?
Yeah, sure. So Louise and I actually met, I think it was 11 years ago now, wasn't it, Lou?
Yes, very long time ago, yeah.
So we had both recently graduated university and were working in a local bar in like the evening. So we had separate day jobs, and then we were both working in the same bar in the evening, just trying to like make rent, trying to like get through that hideous couple of years after graduation where you're all over the place. And we just, I think from the moment that we met, we knew each of us had something in us that wanted to do more. We didn't just want to get a job and earn, you know, such amount of money. We always wanted to do our own thing, and we've always bonded over that.
Definitely.
So
I think
Louise,
we just don't like being told what to do. I think that's it, isn't it? We like to think that we know best. So even at a very young age of 20s, actually, I think it was even worse in our 20s that we thought we knew best. So yeah, I think we bonded over that, and just that pure struggle of finishing uni and trying to work out what you want to do with your life. Yeah.
And I love that, because also what I know about most of the small business, you know, micro business owners that I work with, they are rebellious at their core.
Yes.
You know, I now think that I'm completely unemployable. I don't think anyone would want me working for them, because, you know, but actually, and maybe we'll get into the detail of that as well, because I feel like our world is moving in a bit more of an entrepreneurial direction. But I absolutely love that. But also what I'm struck by is 11 years ago, the world was in a pretty different place, hey?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've always been gobby, you know, we've always been outspoken, and we like to do things the way that we like to do them. And so Louise and I have worked with the same web design agencies before we started to put our business together. And throughout the roles that we had before we went into business, we were like, we are running this show anyway. We're kind of in these companies being paid, you know, not a huge amount of money, running the show because of the types of personalities we are. Why don't we do that for ourselves? Why don't we, instead of doing this for someone else who doesn't appreciate it, why don't we make this happen for us?
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, as well, we kind of had the usual jobs, and we actually went our separate ways. We both kind of freelance in our own businesses, and just kind of came together and was like, it's really hard, isn't it? Like to try and do it all by yourself. And you know, and a lot of the things that, so I'm kind of the developer in the company, so I really struggled with the design elements, kind of the branding elements, and how to market myself as well. You know, Naomi's the designer, so she kind of excelled in that, but was like, oh, I kind of stop at like the creating of the website part. So I don't know why it really took us so long to kind of click it together, but a few years down the line, lots of mistakes made. we ended up kind of joining teams, didn't we? So which is
We
good.
did.
But what I love is that notion, and I think, you know, anyone that's met you guys, and I've had the pleasure to, you know, we've met face to face on a couple of occasions, and for me, that thing about what one of you picks up where the other leaves off, you know, that create, and we're really going to get into the detail of exactly what it is that you do for women business owners out there. But what I also see is that the two of you have what I would describe as true entrepreneurial spirit, in the sense that you are innovating. So it's really about seeing that there's a gap, or there's a, you know, identifying a gap in the market and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually more about the synergy of how you work together, as well as how can we do this differently to serve a particular community. That's what gets me really excited and pumped about speaking with you guys. So very excited to have you here. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to, so I really want to get into it now. So what I would like to hear from you is, first of all, why is it that you work with women exclusively? And secondly, maybe tell the listeners a bit about exactly how you work. So what is the journey that you take? What typically, where is someone, what are they grappling with? As you say in marketing, what's the pain point that they're really grappling with when they start to, you know, engage with you guys?
Sure. So we largely only work with women, not because we have any issue with men, but just because we think that they are already underrepresented in the kind of tech space, in the online space, in the business space, but also because we bloody love pink, and we just like to use like really bold colours and feminine styles that I just think would not work well in a male industry. I think that our design style lends itself to it. We're girls. We've always preferred the company of other women. I think the women's communities that are out there now, the business communities, are just unbelievable. The support and the kindness that you get from them is just second to none. And that's not to say that you don't get that from men as well. I've absolutely, some of the most supportive people in my life are men, but I think it's those groups that maybe don't have the same supportive element to them as the women's groups do.
Yeah, and I think also a bit of it as well might be a pushback. Myself and Naomi, we've both worked in tech now for, you know, kind of about 10 odd years or so. So, and especially as a developer, I've mainly worked with men. There are very few female developers. So I kind of just want to change, and I find it very refreshing working with women and being able to kind of be a bit more sensitive, you know, and then kind of taking on board sometimes a bit more, rather than just being like, I would like to say my thing now, which I often find with men, which is a bit of a habit of theirs. But yeah.
As for, I think, pain points, I think it leads into the same kind of thing, in that there are a lot of women out there who are running businesses and want to create websites and online spaces who can't find anything that's geared towards them. So perhaps they don't have the budget at the moment to go full one-on-one services. And so we want to provide something that works as a really nice middle ground. So instead of paying £2,000, you pay £200, and then you've got a really gorgeous website that you still put together yourself. You still have plenty of input in it yourself, but a lot of the design, the strategy, the SEO, all of that is dealt with for you. So you don't have that hassle of doing everything by yourself, which we know is so difficult as a small business owner.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, as you know, you will have heard me say before that infrastructure is one of the biggest issues in the small and micro business space. And for me, it's very interesting because, as you know, I don't work exclusively with women, but I would say I work predominantly with women, and all the things that you're saying resonate with me completely. But this thing about women being underrepresented in the tech space, we will get into why that's really problematic when you start running your own business and you're having to engage in tech in some way in order to try and further your business in some way. So let's get into it now. So one of the things that comes up for me quite a lot in the work that I do is I have some clients who ask whether they really need to go to the expense and go to, you know, all the work of creating a website. why can't they just market their business from social media platforms? So I don't know who out of the two of you might want to lead with that question.
Okay, I'm going to do the first bit, then I think Louise will take it over, because there's a couple of really key things
Points,
here.
yeah.
But the main thing is you don't own it. You know, you can use, and we love social media. We market a lot on social media. We have got no beef whatsoever with using social media to benefit your business. But if you are building your business entirely on the foundations of that, you don't own it. That social media platform could shut down. You know, I know it feels unlikely with, you know, platforms like Facebook and Instagram, but it's happened before. Look what's just happened to Twitter recently. If the foundations of your business are built on that platform, you stand no chance. Your account could be hacked, and then you've got 20,000 followers who love your content, who'll never see you again, and they've got no other way of finding you, because your entire business was built on this system that you don't own. And so a website belongs to you.
Yeah. And I think also with a website, so yeah, it is a little space on the internet that's yours and for your business. You can lay out your content how you like, even with a Facebook page, which is you know, a very popular one for like stores and things like that. You can't have descriptions and services, you know, and they can change it at any time. And I think there's a lot of professionalism as well for a business. I know myself, you know, unless I generally do kind of look if they have a website, and otherwise I'm probably a bit wary about contacting them. But yeah, I think, and also we'll probably go into it a bit more later, is kind of getting that organic traffic from Google. You know, they're not generally, Google and Bing and all those search engines, they don't point really people to, you know, social network sites for that reason, but they're not set up for businesses. They're meant to be social platforms. I mean, what they really are, we don't know, but you know, we'll get into that, but they are meant for kind of that social connection. They're not as much as you can promote on there, and it's a great tool. It's exactly that. It is a tool, and that's kind of, I wouldn't say the correct tool for promoting and showing all your services or products as a business.
And for me, that is so fundamental, because I think, and again, I have a sort of further question, but my comment would be that is the problem is that I think when you say to someone, you know, you don't own your followers, you own your subscribers, you own your website, but you don't, until it's said in that way, they don't get it. They just think, oh, well, I've got social media, I've got a website, these are the ways that I market, without thinking of the potential risk to the business, which actually is huge. I have worked with clients who have lost their accounts overnight. Sometimes they've been lucky enough to get them back, but they're never in the shape, they're never quite in the right shape when they do sort of get them back. Weirdly, I don't know what happens, but it's scary. And also, in this brave new world that we find ourselves in, it just takes one, like Elon Musk character, to take over a whole planet, and suddenly you're going, what am I doing here? As well. So for me, what I love about what you guys do is the level of ownership that you give women. That what you said just now, Louise, about it's your space on the internet. That's so important. We need those spaces. So I love that. So my sort of a follow-on question from that is, so we understand the importance of having a website, and that's why they need to work with people like you to be able to create, you know, fantastic websites. But in your kind of opinions, what is the purpose of a website for small business? I know that may sound obvious, but again, I just think it's really good to kind of spell it out in terms of what does it do, and what is a website, a good website, what is it supposed to do? Again, I don't know who wants to sort of lead on that one.
Go for it, Lou.
Yes, I think a lot of it does depend on your business. So if you're a service-based business, it can obviously lay out your services. It can be an about you. It can be a way to connect with your audience as well through blogging or forums, or even like membership areas. It can be a way to display your products if you've got a very stereotypical kind of online store. It can be a way to show your terms and conditions, to show what you care about. I know when it was like kind of the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, everyone added those banners. It is definitely, you know, as we're saying, that space online to be yours and your business. It's a way to show your company's branding and personality, you know. And in the terms of micro businesses, which is generally kind of who we work with, you know, it's somewhere to show your personality and to be able to actually really connect better with your customers. It's a way to get feedback. I mean, yeah, as you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about websites, so I think it can be, yeah, it can be like so many things, and it totally depends on what you need and as your business needs. And that again is something that you can't get with social media platforms, where they say, you know, this is a post, this is a reel, you have to kind of conform to those. A website can be kind of anything that you need it to be. It could be even like a holding page to say that you're kind of creating a website currently. You know, there's lots of different things it can be, but it's a way to represent and show your business online and connect to your audience. I think it's probably the key. I'll try and sum it up.
No, I think
Fantastic.
I would just love to. You remember when you were a kid and before Christmas you would have the Argos catalogue and you would like flip through it and you would,
yeah.
That is what having a website as a micro business is you are having your like brochure listing, you know, because people, if they want to work with a micro business, they want to work with the right one, and they choose you based on your personality and your vibe and all of that sort of stuff, because it's a very personal connection. Your website is the perfect way to showcase that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I sometimes with my clients, I use the analogy of a shop front. Imagine that your website was a physical building with a shop front. What would it be like if the handle fell off when you tried to walk in the front door, or that, you know, there were all these boxes in the way the minute you open the door, so you couldn't actually get to the, you know, try to get them to imagine, because also then I think when they can really ideate that helps them think about how they can design, what the purpose of it is, what they're really trying to convey. So I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I know that SEO is clearly a big part of what you do, and I feel that because of what you've said priorly, you know, about the fact that women in tech is an issue, I feel that it's something that is completely misunderstood. And I know you're going to get really fired up talking about this, so I'm really excited. So before we get into the details of that, again, because I think there is a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of confusion, could one of you, I think I know who it's going to be, give us a definition of SEO and what your take on it is? Because I know that you guys have got such a fantastic way of looking at SEO, which gets me really fired up. So I'm thinking Louise would like to talk about this.
Believe it or not, you're very much right. Yes, so that's my jam. So yeah, so search engine optimization, that's SEO. So if we break it down, search engine, so that's websites like Google and Bing are kind of like the main ones there. And then optimization, that means optimizing your website so that those websites, those search engines, can view and index your website so they can show it to their customers. I think what kind of a lot of small business owners get really stuck with is the idea, and I completely understand why, because there's lots of technical terms and you need to do this and you need to do this. You know, there's a lot of kind of pushy selling, I think, with it as well. But at the end of the day, you and Google want exactly the same thing. Google want to provide the best results to their customers, you know, and you want to be provided to the exact customer who's looking for you. So kind of if you sell, you know, shoes, or if you're a hairdresser that's in that region, you know, they at Google wants to be able to provide results that will be exactly what that person needs, and you want that person to find you. So really, it, you know, I think we shouldn't be thinking it as much as like, I need to kind of hack my way into Google, I need to try and get on that leaderboard. You know, you're wanting the same thing. And I think when you start thinking of it like that, and thinking that you're just following guidelines that Google have set out, is a far better way. And these guidelines that Google sets out, they are for the user. You know, that's where their data's come from. The reason why they say, so Google says, you know, it's all about mobile optimization and making sure your website is fast enough. That's not them just saying, this is what we want. That's because a user doesn't want to go on a really slow website, or a user is, most people now, I think it's like almost like 60%, isn't it, generally, they're using their mobile phones all the time. So that's where these things are coming from. So it's not, you know, I understand, again, it can get quite technical, but the idea at the end of the day is to provide the best results for users of your website. You're wanting the same thing. It's not kind of an argument sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, obviously that's amazing, and I love that quote. You and Google want the same thing. You know, there's so much power in the understanding of that. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Naomi?
No, I think Louise covered that fantastically. I think just to reiterate the point that, you know, SEO might sound like a series of really technical requirements, but it isn't. It is just about providing the smoothest, you know, most effective and most accessible experience from your website as possible.
Yes.
Amazing. So, okay, so what I like to do with with my subscribers and the sort of content that I put out, I want to keep it very with tons of value, and I believe in giving lots of value. So it would be really great to hear from you guys what your take on SEO is, because I think the issue is there is that sort of like, yes, they have an overview and an understanding, they're going to understand it a whole lot better now. But what do you do with that? Because there's so many myths out there about SEO. So can you kind of dispel some of the myths that are out there? For example, I will often get clients coming to see me saying, oh, I'm getting someone to do my SEO. Don't really know. They don't really know what it is they're doing. And they may be paying, up to 500 quid a month just for that, and not really understanding what is supposed to be happening. So again, there's some myths. So if you were able to bust any of the myths out there about SEO and give your take on what people could be doing instead, that would be awesome.
Cool.
So again,
can I jump in with the first one?
Naomi? Yeah,
yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you go.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So I would say the biggest SEO myth that I think a lot of micro businesses, small business freelancers have is that it's somehow different to your content, when there are SEO things that aren't linked to your content, but they are few and far between. The vast majority of it is the quality of the text content on your website, the quality of the structure of that content, and the quality of your images and their sizing. So keywords are a big SEO thing, and they have changed a lot in the last few years. So a very standard SEO tactic 5-10 years ago was to literally fill web pages with the same string of 5 words over and over again. That doesn't cut it anymore. That is, what did you call it the other day, Louise?
So it's called keyword stuffing. Yeah.
Keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
And actually, the best thing to do for effective SEO is to understand your keywords before you write your content, and then write organic, natural text that is just naturally rich in those words, which, if you know your business, me and Louise were talking about this the other day, if you know your business and you know your customer, that should come really naturally. You shouldn't have to do too much research or adding in of keywords anywhere that doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah, I think with keywords, people get quite stuck with it. But what I find really helps is that, so Google and other search engines, they have a thing called natural language. And now a really good example of that is if you say, I want hairdressers near me, or nearby, or locally, or even if you miss that out, it has the natural language functionality to know, one, where you are, and then to search the web for, hairdressers that are in Devon, hairdressers that are in Exeter. So that natural language is, so when your keywords is, my keyword is like website templates, it doesn't matter if there's a plural or not, or website themes, there's a natural language there as well, which kind of does understand it. So I think with this keyword, people get very rigid, like I need to put in these exact terms and I need to make sure I get all the terms. But it's not. If your content is truly valuable and clear and helpful to your user, it's generally good content for SEO. So again, it's always about the end user, and Google and those search engines now, they are smart enough to kind of work this out and work out really what your content is, if your content is clear enough for your user as well, I would say, with kind of the keywords.
And so amazing. And I know that's only the first myth that we can bust, but what is a breath of fresh air to me is that I have heard, oh my goodness, so many clients have come to me over the years and said, my web designer said I just need to keep putting all these words on these pages, and you read the content and it's like, but that's not written for a human being.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, and it feels clunky, and it feels just, there's no the humanness has gone completely. So I love this notion that it's just kind of integral to the way that you are designing your site and the things that you are saying. So love that. Okay, give me some more myths that you'd like to bust for our listeners.
Yeah, I think there's trying to think of some like myths now that we've got. Like I think like there's two parts of SEO, I would say. So the content is obviously like a very key part, and the other one is the kind of the technical part of it. And I think a lot of people think to get really good SEO, it has to be a custom built website, you know, which it did used to be the case because there wasn't good systems. So they're called content management systems. So they're things like Wix and Squarespace and WordPress and those kind of things. They didn't used to be very good. They were very slow and clunky. So yes, having a developer kind of in-house or on hand would have been the way to do it. However, now with technology, you know, moving so fast, they are so good now. So I would say definitely that's a myth that now you can have really good SEO from using those content management systems. There are plenty of websites out there who get like thousands and thousands of people kind of visiting their website every day, loads of traffic coming, and they've got great SEO and are easily able to manage it. So I think that's that's definitely another one that I think we get told quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And anything I mean, this is, I just want to keep asking you loads and loads of questions, but
I've got like one more myth I think that we've already talked about, and I think this is a biggie, is that it feels like a very technical discipline. People think that it exists for the good of search engines and for bots and things, and it actually is entirely designed for the benefit of humans. So any of the best practices that you find exist to aid human beings, not algorithms or bots or anything like that. So things like alt text, which is text that you put into the back end of images, which is really good for boosting SEO because it enables people who maybe have limited sight to access your website using a screen reader. So people who live with visual impairments can't see everything on your site. Adding that alt text allows them to access it. The same with color contrast. It's so that your site becomes as accessible for the widest number of people as possible, which is why it's so important, as Louise was saying earlier, that your website works brilliantly on a mobile phone, because not everybody in the world has access to a desktop or a laptop or a tablet. Some people will only have access to a phone. If your website doesn't work on that screen size, you're excluding that amount of people. So it's really all about people at its core.
Yes, and Google and those search engines are set up for that. So I know that going back to that term keyword stuffing, so that's putting loads of keywords in. I know that SEO kind of black hat kind of tricks was always to put loads of keywords into the alt text of images, but they are very aware of it now. So they really do prefer, you know, if it's a picture of a woman like looking like into the sunset on the beach, write exactly that, and they really prefer it because they can then see. So this tells Google, it gives it a vote of confidence that this is a well thought out and well engineered and created website. And so for them, they feel like it's a trusted source. If you are doing these kind of like tricks to try and trick Google all the time, once they kind of catch on to this, which they will, you know, they won't value, and there's definitely like an authority level that they give every website. So your authority level will go down if you try and use these little hacks, you know. And also it's a lot of time wasted, to be honest, as well, for very little wins. I always find it amazing people do that. I'm like, why?
I mean, all things that we definitely don't want in our business, right? We don't want things that aren't going to work, and we don't want to spend loads of time doing those things that aren't going to work, you know. So what I really love about what both of you are saying, and also about your whole approach and obviously as we move towards the, you know, the sort of last part of the interview, I want you to tell the listeners how they can reach out to work with you. But it's this idea that, you know, that it's quite a democratic space. It's in terms of connecting human with human. You know, the internet is this tool that we still haven't sussed out how we can really best utilize and use, you know, as human beings, and it's going to go on for, you know, for a long time. But what I love about it is that what we're really trying to do, and in the work that you guys are doing, you're ultimately trying to connect humans with humans, not through, you know, tricks or, you know, trying to, you know, trip people up or, you know, but just really trying to get them to connect with each other in whatever way is meaningful. And for me, that makes it this kind of democratic space, and that's what I love about it, and that's what I love about the work that you guys do, because also I feel, you know, on a sort of political, for, you know, with a small p level, that you're leveling the playing field in terms of that tech not being seen as this big scary thing that, you know, people are too dumb to access, or, you know, for women in particular feeling like they're very excluded from those conversations, that you're finding a way to really level that, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what we're trying to do. I think there's a lot of jargon going around, a lot of tech jargon, and you're going to get that, especially with SEO, because they're trying to sell stuff. You know, as you said, there's a lot of services that do sell this kind of monthly subscription of SEO. And, you know, for a key thing for SEO, I would say, is to generate really good content. So it does depend kind of who you're hiring. I mean, if you're hiring a copywriter, someone to write you blogs, I would say that was probably worth it, because generating some like good copy, good content that's constantly updating your website is fantastic. And as long as it's useful to your users, that's great. If you're hiring someone and they, you know, they're kind of just clicking through, I don't know, some images, or kind of adding lots of backlinks. So backlinks is links from another website to your website. You know, it really does depend. You know, that website has to have good authority. There needs to be some sort of proper connection link. I know there's been a lot of times where it's just like a big page of links to other websites. You know, Google and those search engines, they see through that. You know, so I think it's just one of those things. It's about authenticity. You really cannot fake this, you know. So and Google are now smart enough that you can't fake it with them as well. So it needs to be authentic links, you know. So that could be guest blogging, writing on like forums is a really good one. Obviously sharing on social media, going into directories, you know, where they'll have, you know, for your industry. So there's lots of ways that you can naturally get those links, and lots of ways that you can create really good content for your users. So I think there's where you should be putting your time and effort to, and not kind of these special little hacks that you kind of read about online, I think.
Thank you. Naomi, anything you wanted to add in terms of that in particular?
No, I think Louise has covered everything beautifully there.
Yeah, and actually you preempted me, because as we move to to sort of wrapping up the interview, that the things that you've just said, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. What are the things that people can do now? So it's things like, you know, making sure that their copy is really relevant, blogging. What were the other things that you said?
Yeah, so generally when people, because we get this a lot, obviously, like, where do I start with this? So I kind of say 3, which I would say is high quality content. So that's blogging, that is like maybe writing. It's all about sharing your knowledge. I think is so key within your community, you know, or your audience, however you kind of want to refer to them, but it's the same thing, you know.
Absolutely.
So writing in forums, guest blogging, you know, podcasting as well, sharing all of that on your website, that's really good. Like Naomi said earlier, keyword research. So it's still good to have your keywords in there. So if you are kind of like us selling website templates, make sure you do say that. It's quite easy to write a whole load of copy and actually not say what you're actually doing. So I think that's really clear. Have your end user in mind, you know, and you can look at kind of your competitors, so your other businesses that are doing something similar. But it's very tricky, but you need to take out your ego when you are looking at competitors. It's so hard, especially for micro business, isn't it? Because it's your baby. But you need to look at what they're doing right, look at how they are helping, and maybe look at like spaces that they are missing or gaps they've got, and how you could do that. So it's not comparing, it's not seeing how far along they are and comparing yourself. It's not saying, oh, well, they're not doing this or this or this, or I can undercut. It's about seeing what they do right and their communities. And often I would say, if they're doing something similar, reach out to them, say, can I go on your podcast? Can I do a guest? Like we've started to do that, and it's been really great. And I just think there is enough audience for everyone, isn't there? There's definitely enough website traffic for everyone. Everyone's online all the time. And then finally, the probably slightly more technical one is page speed. So page speed, so that's going back to kind of making sure it loads fast on desktop, but also on mobile especially. And that is really key for when people are kind of traveling, and maybe they've only got 3G, but Google does rate it very highly. And such a simple one is images. That is one that we see all the time, is trying to shrink down your image sizes, make sure you're not loading like a huge image and you're only using it very tiny on your website, and making sure it's the right compression. So kind of use an online compressor to make the image file as small as possible, and make sure if it can be a JPEG rather than a PNG, a bit more technical, I know, but make sure you're doing that. I think those are the three things. Everything else is like really nice to have, but if you've got those three things and you keep working on it, you'll smash it, I think. So as I said, I'm very passionate about it. So I did kind of take over this, blah, 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 blah.
No, this is absolutely amazing. And again, I think it's that we shouldn't shy away from the technical language, because it's technical, but we can get our heads around it, right? And it's important to do that, because also I think there's a bit of a like, oh, I'm not going to use any of that language, or I'm going to choose to be really intimidated by it, rather than just going, well, I don't necessarily understand what those letters mean, but I know that I can do it, and I know that I can, because otherwise I think we give it too much power.
Yeah.
So look, guys, it's been so amazing to talk to you. You completely preempted me with the things that you can suggest that people start doing. But of course, ladies, what is the other thing that people can start doing if they want to get in contact with you because they need a new website or they need some help in that area? Tell me, what are the steps that they can take to work with you?
So there's a couple of things that people can do right now that will be super beneficial to them. So we are currently, via our website, we've got one of our pages up in the top nav called Freebies, and we are actually offering a free Squarespace website template. So for any businesses that may have listened to this episode and it felt a bit panicky because they haven't got themselves online yet, there's a really affordable, easy, quick way to do so. So just head to our website, that's luckynightstudio.co.uk, and you can download that for free. Also, if you already have a website but you've loved all the SEO chat today and would like to learn a little bit more about that, we do run an SEO course that is currently at waitlist stage. So if that's something that you're interested in, head to our site, join that waitlist, and you'll learn more as we start releasing more towards the end of the year.
Wow, well, that is fantastic, ladies. Thank you so much. I feel like there's part 2 because there's so many things that we could have discussed today, and I just think part 2 is going to be in the offing at some point. But listen, that's been so helpful. It's an absolute joy to speak to both of you. All power to you and what you do. I mean, it just absolutely fires me up. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Really appreciate your time today. It's been lovely to spend a bit more time with you both. Thank you for all the valuable information that you've given people today, and just looking at things differently. And I think that's really important. So thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been great.
It really has been amazing.
Lovely. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to stop the recording.
There we go. Oh, she's just
Stop recording. There we go.
There we go.